I've been well documented since the release of Chivalry 2 in my belief that the Longsword, not the Messer, is the strongest weapon in the game, and the way I like to describe combat with the Longsword is that it's very fluid. It has great speed for a two-handed weapon, along with decent reach and incredible stab damage. And this fluidity of speed, reach, and damage is something that might not stand out on a spreadsheet, but in game it really shines. And now, while I use a wide array of weapons in Chivalry 2, when I activate sweat mode, I always pull out my longsword. I'm Strider the Champ, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you guys how to effectively use the longsword with a quick tutorial followed by some gameplay where I point out some of these tactics utilized in the field. So let's start by looking at the damage model. On the longsword, you do 40 damage on a slash, 50 on an overhead, and 55 on a stab, making it the strongest basic stab attack in the game. Now, if we hold down our inputs for a heavy attack, we increase those numbers to 60 on a slash, 70 on an overhead, and 65 on a stab. You'll notice that a heavy overhand is actually the longsword's hardest attack. Now, if we talk about general combat advice for the longsword in public lobbies, we want to play around that basic 55 damage stab attack. This is your bread and butter, and with the speed it has, feel free to just kind of spam away in large fights with your thrust. It's pretty amazing how many enemies will just fall for stab spam in public lobbies, and I like to say don't show enemies any respect until they earn it. We can save our feints and drags for competent enemies, use them when we need to. Now, my second piece of advice for the longsword is to be aggressive. As I said, this weapon is very fluid and fast. You can quickly weave feints together to confuse your opponents and put them on their back foot. I fight very similarly with the longsword as the one-handed sword, and I find opponents just struggle to keep up with the offensive barrage of these fast weapons. And now the longsword does have a very nice reach, which allows you to use the classic dodge back move on players with shorter weapons or who attack from a far distance. So you can dodge away from them and then punish them with a stab. You can also use your footwork to kind of sidestep overhead attacks and then gamble an easier to hit stab in the opponent's face. Now let's go over some combat maneuvers that I find very effective with the longsword. The first feint combination I use over and over again, and I'll consistently hit the same enemies with it multiple times, and that's a stab to a stab. And remember to use the Alt key on the second stab to change its attack side. For our next combination, we'll feint a stab into an overhead, and you can actually gain incredible speed on this combination by crouching when you're throwing the overhand and aiming at the enemy's feet. This will excel the attack to make it even faster, and you can also do this with a heavy attack and it still lands pretty quickly. And lastly, I have a tricky move for you guys. When an enemy attacks you, crouch while blocking, then perform a stab for your riposte. Wait till the animation is halfway through, then release the crouch button and your stab will hit the enemy in the face. Many times your enemy will not even see the attack animation begin since it started down at their feet, out of their field of view. Now let's hop into a Coxwell match where I put up some decent kill numbers with the longsword. I'll point out techniques during the video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe.
That's enough! supply!
Fall back!
They must
The
not
masons
fall
have
into the
taken the
hands of the
gate!
enemy! Bugger all!